We are officially live. Let me check full camera going, full screen. All right. So, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How you ladies doing?
We good. We good. We're just chilling on this good old Saturday that don't feel like a Saturday.
Yeah, the days can kind of get up nowadays, right?
Right. So, tell us about you. Tell us about you.
Well, I am a licensed professional counselor here in the state of Oklahoma, and I also work at a mental health hospital. I have my own practice called Couch Therapy. So that's pretty much the gist of what I do.
Okay. What got you into doing therapy?
Well, I like to help people.
Mm-hmm.
I like to help people. I was once, I did the behavior rehab at one time. And then after that, I was actually a child welfare worker. And being on that side, it really, it really made me think about how we could really help people instead of taking children away. You know, the parents, they had issues and they had a lot of mental health issues that needed to be dealt with, and they wasn't really able to do that. So that's really what prompted me to go ahead and go ahead and pursue this career.
Right. It's interesting you say that because I actually worked for child welfare too. Um, want to say from 2017 to the end of 2018, I was actually in the child protective services,
Okay,
and we worked a lot with family center services.
that's who
And
I work with.
man, so how would you say your experience was working in child welfare? Like, I guess I would say like your experience working there, and how did that go over to your daily life?
Okay, well, it's simple. You know, when I first began, I didn't want to work in the department that you worked in. You were pretty much CPS. You came in, you said, hey, we're going to take your children, or nay, we're not going to take your children.
Right.
So I knew that I didn't want to go that route, and I didn't actually want to go the route as far as people that was already in custody, children that were already in custody. So when I heard about the prevention program, it really sparked my interest because it was actually working with families. So I was able to work with families for about maybe 6 months to 18 months, and that allowed me to really get a chance to get into the family's lives. It also, I was able to really build rapport and relationships, and the families were able to trust me. So if I ever needed to actually remove a child from the home, it was because something really was going wrong, and I worked my best with that family.
I definitely agree. I think it was hard on my side of it because it was always like, "You're here to take my kid," and blah blah blah. And for me, speaking for myself as a worker, that was never my first thing.
Yeah,
Unless you were just a parent that had no business. I mean, I'm talking kid is severely being neglected, severely being abused. I really tried my hardest to not only help the parents, but to help the children and help the ones around them. Because when DHS is out of the picture, you're just relying on literally that parent and their tribe. You know, it takes a village. So I was working with grandparents, teachers, everybody, because I wanted to make sure that when I was done with that family, I never had to go back to them again. No one. Like once DHS out the picture, we should never get a call again, unless it's from someone, you know, that's of course being petty and calling DHS for no reason. But I
yeah,
definitely think
somebody
that's what really had me wanting to kick off my nonprofit because of the same reason, just wanting to find more ways to dig deeper into helping these families than just on the surface.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another reason you asked me what led me to this career now, and as far as with therapy, that was another passion that I did have was with the families, connecting them with therapists and making sure that they were actually following through with their plans, because like I said, a lot of it was mental wellness issues, sometimes substance abuse, of course. And it's funny that we're on this subject. I know we're talking about self-care right now, but now since we're in this pandemic, that has really increased as far as the domestic violence and the child abuse. So that's a good segue to get into self-care as well.
Right. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't even think about the domestic violence or the child abuse that would be going on. Like, I thought about kids being hungry, not being able to see friends, loved ones, school being their real safe place, but you're at home, but it's just having to readjust. And I think that's what a lot of people are having to deal with right now, or at least that's what I hear and see a lot of.
Yeah, and I realized too when I was working for DHS, the biggest time we were busy was the after breaks and then summertime. Like once summertime was over and school started, that is where we had a huge amount of cases. So it definitely scares me because now we're going into the school year where now everyone's at home, and then it's not like they're going back to school.
Yeah.
So now they're staying at home until the summer's over because I believe they end the school early, early May. So it's like now it's going to be a huge number of a caseload for these, workers who's going to have to be responding to a lot of families that may be going through this tough time for not just 2 months like it was before or 3 months, but now we're talking 6 months. And I'm just more nervous about the possible death that may be, happening because that's inevitable. We don't like to talk about it, but that's what happens. Domestic violence, things like that. It's definitely a scary sight that I think about in Oklahoma City right now.
And you know what else? In addition to that, it's also frightening because this is where the cycle of abuse begins. So, if something's happening to these children that's at home, stuck with their parents, guardians, whoever it is, and they get abused for some reason, whether it's physical, mentally, emotionally, sexually, that's how it begins, because these children, they grow up and they have some of the same issues when it comes to trauma that they're going to have to deal with. And that's when, generational curses begin. That's a name for it I like to use. My grandmother used to use that term, generational curses. So, we really have to do something about it. And I know social media is pretty much a platform where everyone is going to get their information, to just cope with just when they're bored. That's just really much, if it's not the news, it's some kind of social media. So, yeah.
That's definitely true. I definitely wanted to talk. I guess, like, I know it's important for us to dig into like the importance of physical and mental health.
Right.
But during this time, I also really want to take this time for us to get to know each person we talk to.
Right.
Okay.
So, with you, what are some of the things that in your own day-to-day life that you do to keep yourself afloat during this time?
I keep myself busy. And before I know it, the day is over and then another day begins. The only reason why I know what day it is because I'm looking at a calendar.
Right.
I was so excited today because I knew that it was Saturday and I didn't have to do anything.
Right. Exactly. Same.
Who doesn't look
I was
so
like,
selfish Saturday?
no work today. Right. I don't have to do no work today. I can sleep in.
Oh, I did. It felt so good. I woke up and, on the movies, how you just stretch your arms and like, it's a beautiful morning, and just opened up the blinds. So,
Right.
yeah. But to also answer your question, from the moment that I wake up, all the way to, when I'm going to bed, I have something to do. So that actually helps. Idle time, it can really be destructive when it comes to your mental health, because your mind can just start racing, and then once your mind is racing, then you have negative thoughts. From negative thoughts, you can increase your anxiety, or even increase depression, because of just idle time. So
Right.
it's really important. That's what I do. And another thing that I do, I make sure that I get up and I get dressed and I take a shower and I brush my teeth. If I'm not dressed all the way, best believe I'm dressed from the head to the to my
Right.
face.
Right.
I might have some pajama pants on and some socks, but I did at least continue that routine.
So routine is very important to you.
Absolutely.
Doing that. So how long has that been something that you've had to start doing? Because I didn't start really getting into a routine until like around this time, I think. Like
Until
routine
now,
just wasn't.
during the pandemic.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it.
You got into a different routine.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because when I was at work, I guess it was a routine. It wasn't an intentional routine. Like I get up, get dressed, and then at work, I don't really know. I don't know what I'll do day to day because it changes day to day.
Yeah.
So it just, depending, okay, well, I might eat lunch today or I might skip lunch because I might not be as hungry, after work. Anything goes after work. But this is the most I've actually had a routine and did the same thing every day. Like it wasn't something I did before.
That's good. This is actually a time where you can just reflect on your life and what's important in your life, because you have so much time and you can do whatever you want to do with this time.
Right.
So I'm glad that you were able to begin a routine. You said as far as about your eating schedule, it's also important to make sure that you are at least getting 3 meals a day. It can be snacks or whatever, but to make sure you get that, that's something that we really stress in the mental health industry, because if you don't eat, you're not able to function, properly. So making sure you get good meals, and sleep is important as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Who doesn't?
And it goes back to the routine.
What have you been doing for your routine?
My routine? Mm-hmm. I get up every morning. I pray. And after I pray, I go make me some breakfast. It's normally some rice or something. And then I sit down and I watch TV, and then I take a nap from about 2 to 4. I've only been on quarantine for a week, so I'm just trying to figure out. Oh, this is quarantine. We really got to sit down. Okay.
Right. Okay. Right. How long did it take for you to realize that this was real? Because I've talked to a lot of people, and they didn't realize this was actually real until things got real.
I think I'm with you on that. So for me, it got real when I realized that the supplies that were needed were not there. So I had to go virtual with my clientele just because I didn't have access to hand sanitizer, gloves, masks, things of that nature. Now, we still have enough room in my office, of course, to social distance, but I didn't feel safe as far as with myself and as far as with my clientele to actually come in and have that face-to-face interaction, personal face-to-face interaction. That's when it really got real for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And it got real for me when my kids didn't go back to school.
Oh, yeah. That's a definite reminder. Yeah. Because it's like, wait a second. What do you mean you out for another week? What you mean you out for another? Because our kids were on spring break initially first, right?
And then but wait a minute. What's so funny is when, the school system began to, try to begin the online, I got a call from, the automatic generative message that they were taking off on Friday. I was like, wait a minute, you've been off school for 3 weeks. You done went for 3 days, and then you taking off out of, what is going on here? But, you know, that was because of, you know, just the overflow of, you know, kids wanting to actually go back to school and graduate. You can think about the seniors that didn't get the chance to actually, you know, graduate. My daughter is a junior right now, and she told me that she's a senior all of a sudden. I was like, wow, okay.
Right. That is crazy. Man, so how has it been with them doing the distance learning for you?
Well, that kind of goes back to the routine.
Right.
And it's been difficult for my youngest because she likes to she acts like an infant. You know, the newborns, they have their days and nights mixed up.
Yeah.
So, you know, every break, she would just stay up all night and she'll sleep during the day. And it doesn't matter. I would be on her and on her. So it got real for her when she realized she had to get up by 9 o'clock and zoom in for school.
Right.
So making sure they're doing their assignments, making sure that they're present for class. In addition to working myself at home, in addition to having to do motherly duties as far as making sure they eat.
Yeah.
In addition to that, you know, fighting over toilet paper and bottled waters. So,
golly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's just live on Facebook ended abruptly. Let me see. Okay, we're back. Sorry. It just ended really abruptly, and I was like, wait a second, why you do that? So now we're back. Well, we're still recording, but on Facebook Live.
Okay.
Man. Yeah, my boyfriend, he's a teacher, and he was just like, oh man, well, I guess I enjoy my spring break, and then when things, you know, was going on, he was like, oh, working from home, that's not bad. And then maybe 2 or 3 days after, he's like, I miss my students. And I'm like, this is how I'm kind of feeling about work. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for my meetings, and then they're canceling meetings. I'm like, this is the only human interaction that I can have besides the main people, of course, that I'm quarantined with. But I'm just like, I miss work. I miss the human interaction. Like, you know, thankfully we're not maintaining 6 feet at all right now.
Well, I see
But
you pretty much your quarantine team.
yeah. So we're good. We're outside the home, so we're lit. But
where's your mask? Where's your mask at?
Oh, about
oh, there's mine. We actually have self-defense hand mask. We're actually gonna talk about that at the end. But since you asked, we can definitely show you real quick. We decided to get self-defense hands mask.
Okay.
If people want to order one, y'all are more than welcome to order one.
Shout out to
It represents.
Nice.
There we go. We're lit. So we are definitely taking our precautions out here. And unfortunately, we're not able to, you know, serve the community like we would want to and be social and help out until this thing is over with. But we've been definitely trying to encourage everybody to stay safe, you know. But it's crazy because I still can't believe we're doing it. So what are some of your tips that you have for the people who's watching to maintain, you know, positive, healthy, you know, mindsets while they're going through this?
Well, you know, normally I would say do anything that you enjoy doing as far as coping. And that's easily said than done because sometimes people don't know what they actually enjoy because they get caught up with the day-to-day life, with going to work, you know, pre-pandemic life. Okay. So, but you can still do things within the house or with your quarantine team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to help cope. And support is so important with maintaining a healthy mental health status because you need other people you mentioned, you know, that interaction, you know,
Right.
you can still interact. If you don't have people that surround you, doing, you know, something like this, as far as just talking with someone, either on the phone, Zoom, Facebook, just some type of face-to-face interaction,
Right.
so that you can, you know, discuss some of the struggles that you're going through. Especially, I've noticed here lately, you know, I've been having, my phone's been ringing off the hook.
Right.
So, and it's a lot of anxiety. Anxiety is really, really coming to surface. Now, anxiety, you know, sometimes people suffer from anxiety and they don't know, and they're not aware that it's actually anxiety. However, now it has skyrocketed, and who's not actually anxious just a little bit, if
Right.
not a whole lot, about what's going on, because we're in the unknown.
Right. So for some people that may not know what to look for when it comes to anxiety, what are some things they can, you know, look for to know that they're either suffering from anxiety, or they know someone who is? Like, what are some things to look for?
Okay, so I didn't bring my notes because I just didn't, but I kind of know. Well, difficulty concentrating,
Mhm.
memory loss,
Right.
uh, irritation over
I was about to
small,
say irritation in mind.
yeah, irritation. Um, you can actually, the lack of sleep.
Mhm.
You can't, you know, go to sleep because you're just constantly worrying, and it's difficult for you to go to sleep. Sometimes you have physical symptoms as well.
Mhm.
You can have unexplained pain, and you're not really for sure, you know, what's going on. What's some other signs? Racing thoughts.
Yeah.
Racing thoughts. That's a big one, especially now. And I tell a lot of my peoples, like, to limit their news.
Yeah.
Limit the amount of news that you're watching, because it is 24/7, okay?
Mhm.
Literally.
And if you're constantly watching the news, that's not going to help anything.
I definitely agree. How do you promote physical health within your clients?
You say
And if
physical
so, what does
health?
that look like?
Did you say physical health?
Physical health, yes.
Okay. Look, I'm moving my little. I have different games on
Oh, that's cool.
my table. That's the Zynga, and I went and got this Connect Four, but I didn't know it was a mini style Connect Four. And of course, we got the dominoes as well. But I had to move that. um. So, however you can get that physical, you know, exercise. Um, like, for instance, I made my living room into an office and a gym.
Wow.
Yeah, so like we have Zumba mat, weights, you know, what's the little thing that you stretch and stuff like that?
Resistance band?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Resistance
something
bands?
with the handles on it.
Yeah.
So anything, if you're gonna dance, if you like to dance, you know, I know that a lot of times Facebook have the live DJs, and
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you know, just get on there and, you know, dance with the DJs or make a playlist. Um,
Yoga,
Yeah.
yeah, something like
meditation
that.
too. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of meditation going on within my Facebook friends since this thing's been going on, and I love it. Like, just the meditation, the yoga, a lot of the hip hop classes, the
Yes,
stepping
the
class.
step classes. Oh
Uh, I'm scared to do the hip hop step classes. It look hard. It look fast paced. I'm like, they look tired whenever they're like posting their selfies about it. They look like they're just, and I'm like, it don't make sense for both of us to be tired, you know? Like, you
but you
tired,
feel good after.
I need to be the one giving you water.
Okay.
I don't need to be the one tired. You be tired.
I can be tired.
I'm the cheerleader.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm cool
It don't
with
make
that.
sense for both of us to be tired. One of us gotta talk.
So I need a coach because I love that motivation.
Man, I have to definitely share some stuff for you to check out too. Maybe you could do it with us one day. It's hard.
Yeah, we need to get a class together so we can work out and hold each other accountable. And accountability is really is a big factor on managing, you know, anxiety, because you have to have that support. Just like we're talking right now, we just developed a mini support team. Okay, we just talked about working out, and maybe you can join in and you can do this. So that's why it's important to have support as well.
Right.
We just created a workout group.
That is true. And something I've been thinking about, what is some advice you would give for people that are, because I know we talk about a lot, people who are quarantined alone, coping with stress alone. What about people who are sharing their space with somebody, whether it's siblings, family, significant other? Like, what would you give your advice for that?
Social distancing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, over to the next room. 6
Right.
feet. Yes.
Yeah, hey,
12 feet.
Yeah, I mean that as far as just making sure you use your own coping skills, because if you're good, then you're good. You know,
Right.
You can't help anyone else unless yourself is right.
Right.
You know, I use the analogy all the time about the airplane. When you get on the airplane, the stewardess always, you know, they do their demonstration, and they tell you to put the mask on first before you can put someone else's mask on and help them. Right. So that's really important if you're sharing your space, because sometimes, you know, you don't have control over other people. You only have control over yourself.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So if you have to go to another room, then that's fine. If you have to count to 10, you have to go into your own corner, that's fine as well.
Right.
If you have to, I like using the Calm app. Have you ever heard of the Calm app?
No.
Yeah, so the Calm app, it is phenomenal. You can actually do multiple things on that app. You can, they have like daily devotions, they have meditation, they have sounds of nature, motivational speaking.
Oh, Calm app. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I utilize that quite often.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a therapist, because like for us, you know, we can go to therapy and we can just puke all on them with all of our problems and stuff like that. Who is a therapist?
Well, you know, therapists are supposed to have therapists. That's one something that one of my old professors at OU told me a long time ago. But sometimes it's not that easy. So a lot of times we have communities within, you know, one another. I have a lot of colleagues that I can call to vent to. And well, right now we haven't necessarily hung out, but we normally would go take trips, do things of that nature, just because it's a different industry. I understand stress from work. However, being a therapist, you're getting everyone's stress that's just, you know, being dumped onto you. So it's more stress than a normal career. So I talk to my colleagues. Yeah, I talk to my colleagues. So I had a therapist before, but it didn't work out well.
Right. You have to shop around, it seems like, for therapists sometimes to find the right one.
And especially being a therapist, because I'm looking for certain things. I'm looking like, okay, I have 2 more minutes. My time is not up. Are you going to ask me about this? Are you going to ask me about that?
Right.
So like, okay.
Yeah, that is really interesting. So like something else I think about is for us, you know, we're friends and we're also, you know, working together. So sometimes we'll have to say, okay, we're going into free mode this time. Right. Okay, we're going to business mode.
Right.
But like with you being a therapist and people knowing you're somebody that they could probably go to, how do you establish that boundary?
Well, I just keep it professional. I keep it professional. Now, you have to think, people are sharing their most intimate details of their life with me. Things that they cannot tell someone else, things that they don't feel comfortable, things that they may feel that others may judge them based on. So that right there, they know that this is a relationship, a therapeutic relationship. It's business. You don't pay your friends to talk to you. You shouldn't have to pay your friends to talk to you. But, you know, I'm providing a service. So a lot of my clientele, they do respect me professionally, and they are able, you know, to tell me, you know, whatever. And I let them know, you know, I can't really help you through this, and you can't help yourself unless you're truthful. And a lot of times, you know, just like working at DHS, you mentioned, and I also mentioned about establishing a rapport, and trust. So that's really important as well. I haven't had anyone cross that line with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. I had any. No. I'm supposed to be available 24/7, but I do have to call 911 if it's a medical emergency.
Wow. And that's interesting, you know, with us as, you know, people and loving our friends. I always wonder, like, you know, when we was working for, you know, DHS, we were like, okay, you have to be, you know, a mandated reporter when you know what's going on. But then within our own friendship circle, how likely are we really willing to do that? You know, report those things and be willing to call 911 unapologetically and not scared to do it, you know? And that's something that I think about often. What do you think is that, what would you call it? Like a barrier from us doing that, you know, compared to us holding that standard to people that we may not know?
Well, like I said, establishing a relationship and confidentiality is extremely important. This is how I handle it when it comes to that. I'm able to explain what confidentiality is, first and foremost. Secondly, I tell them that I am a mandated reporter.
Right.
I explain what mandated reporting is. Now, for those who don't know, mandated reporting is if it's any type of abuse. It could be any kind of abuse, as far as children, elderly, if you're suicidal, if you're homicidal, and I believe that's pretty much it.
I was thinking suicidal, homicidal, you know, of course, sexual abuse, things like that. Neglect.
Shame and all. So I explained to them that's the type of, that's just my job. However, I'm not going to report. We're going to try to work this out first.
Right.
We're going to try to work it out. We're going to develop techniques. I'm going to teach you skills to pretty much minimize those thoughts, to, you know, stop. But if I necessarily have to report, I'm going to report with you. I'm not going to do it behind your back.
Right.
We're going to sit there together. I'm going to tell you, we're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to have a session about it. And then I'm going to tell you, this is what's best. You can actually get some help. You already want help because you're coming to see me anyway. So we're going to get you some additional help. We're going to get you some help where you can actually be more accountable for your actions. You can be accountable for just loving yourself a little bit more. So that's how I take care of those uncomfortable situations. I don't make them uncomfortable. I make them feel like they're a part of it.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
I'm like, I don't know.
Man. I don't know. I always find myself having a bunch of questions for a therapist, you know? Because I really just, I know the minds of us. We all pretty much think the same, been on the other side of the fence. But I never really get the scoop on the therapist side, you know? Like, how do you cope day to day, you know? And what is your life like? Because sometimes I think when I was a kid, I'll see t-shirts and I'm like, oh my God, they're dope. And then I get older and then somehow I'm on the same level playing field, like, wow, I'm over 21. I see you at Trappy Hour. You know, you're human too. You know, like you actually have problems too. Like you like to, you know how to dance. Like I didn't even know you was of this world. You know, it's like I wonder sometimes if we feel that same way about therapists because honestly, from what I have seen within the Black community, I can only speak because I'm Black. It's like you don't go to a therapist. If you go to a therapist, you know, you're telling all of the household business and that therapist don't know nothing about you and they can't help us. I know you better than you know, just things like that. And it's like I feel like the therapist can sometimes be perceived as the enemy, you know, and it's like no, like the therapist is really there to really not pick sides, but to help us see a perspective that we didn't see before, to help us navigate these trying times. And, you know, sometimes that therapist be the person that we can talk to more than we can talk to our own parents about, you know, without the judgment, without the blaming, the invalidation of the feelings. And why did you put yourself in that position? That couldn't have happened to you. I was a good parent, you know, just the denial and things like that. And it's just crazy that we you know, paint therapists out to be someone that's against us when that's not what they're there for.
Someone that's against you and someone that has superpowers. I'm a person just like everybody else. I have problems just like everyone else. I deal with with challenges, you know, just like everyone else.
Right.
I've been to Trappy Hour a few times just like everybody else.
Cutting the rug.
hey, you know, it is what it
That's
is.
cool.
Yeah, but you know, as far as being a therapist, you know, we cannot acknowledge. Now, if I was in the grocery store or say Trappy Hour or, you know, any at a restaurant, even driving down the street, I can't acknowledge someone. They would have to come to me and say hello, you know, but I can't go up to them and say anything to them.
It's like an invasion of privacy, right?
Yeah, it's a breach with the confidentiality because if I actually approach you in public and say, for instance, it's something as simple as my children, if my children are with me and you know, I say, hey, how you doing? Then okay, how do you know this person? Or even if they don't want to talk to you. So they have to actually come to you to say something, to say hello, acknowledge, just acknowledgement that you ran into them. But say, for instance, if I was somewhere where, out having a good time, I would leave. I would leave. Yeah. That's just not professional. It's not professional to see a therapist, you know, I don't know. What's the new thing out? What's the new dance that's out right now? I don't know.
Which one? The Drake song? The Tootsie Slide?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. You don't want to see your therapist doing that, right?
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't be bad to see a therapist TikTok, you know, in Oklahoma City.
Because at least I know they're like getting active.
Right.
They're incorporating
exactly. And they're
mental
doing what they might be preaching to some people.
right.
And we get to know that you guys are human and feel comfortable. Like sometimes I think knowing, like seeing that side can really truly break the barrier between the community and therapists and even police officers, firefighters, like seeing the people that I don't want to say is on a pedestal, but like,
that service.
Yeah, like y'all are there, y'all are important, but seeing that, you know, wow, they might can be able to relate to us. I don't have to feel so intimidated. So
Yeah.
I don't think there would be anything wrong seeing a therapist TikTok challenge in Oklahoma City.
Hey, I want to. I do. I just got it downloaded on my phone, and it's just, I don't know. We can't get it together, so we can't figure out which TikTok we're gonna do. I really I like the fact, you know, when people, they're talking and they're like, everything is just fine. I'm just loving it. And then they have the sign, I am not okay. And then, you know, I really love those. I wanted to do one of those as well. I think that's fun.
I do like the memes that I've been seeing,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
because I do think it is important that we do set limitations on how much news we consume and things like that. But I will be on the probably the 10% that would say, thank God for social media during this time.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
I've just as nervous as I've been, I have laughed so much off to cope, you know, and it's just been really funny seeing the memes and things like that. And I'm just like,
I cannot be on Facebook longer than 10 minutes without laughing 5 times.
right. Well, Twitter's for me. Like I get on Twitter, they are wilding on Twitter, and it's like, you know, social media can be a downfall when it comes to like the comparison and things like that. And for people that might be really, really nervous about this, to see people panicking, or you know, when the stimulus check came, everybody wants to be like, "Oh, my stimulus check came today." Like no one needs to know this. Like it's privacy, but I do think that, you know, social media has also been a good thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
It has
Yeah. As long as they keep the jokes going.
Yes.
Like, yeah,
all
you know,
you
the
Facebook
TikTok.
comedians. Shout out to all the Facebook comedians.
Yes. So,
Shout
and oh
out
my
to
gosh,
y'all.
they have been so funny during this time
Yeah.
because I laugh to cope sometimes, and if I don't laugh, I'm just gonna be dumb.
So is that like one of the best coping mechanisms? Is like laughter? Like what would you say is the top 3 best coping mechanisms? For
I can't tell you that. I cannot tell you what the top coping techniques are because it's all individualized.
Right.
So, you know, if you like to laugh, then hey, that's your thing. You like to laugh. You know, just last night, I like to laugh too. So just last night I was on Netflix searching comedies.
Mm-hmm.
I like romantic comedies for some reason. I don't know. But that's
like
something.
The Photograph kind of, well, The Photograph wasn't really comedy, was it? With Issa Rae?
But I didn't see it.
She said I didn't see it.
I haven't
Courtney.
seen it. Sorry. I've been at what? Tujuana knows.
What? I'm trying to think. What is a romantic comedy that came out recently?
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, the movie's been closed for like a good month. So
I know.
what came out before? I don't know.
What's your favorite romantic comedy?
Right.
I don't know.
Mine's 50 First Date.
That's a good one.
50 First Date, yeah, that was good. I could see all of them, you know, from last night. I was on Hulu and Netflix trying to find a good one, but which one did I go to sleep on? Because I went to sleep on.
That can't be your favorite one, is
right? Superfly, maybe? No.
It was 40 days, 40 nights. I can't remember which one I looked at. I'm sorry, ladies.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I did like what movie was it? It's the one with Tika Sumpter, Issa Rae. She is not Issa. Tiffany Haddish.
Nobody's Fool.
Nobody's Fool. Now that was funny.
That was funny.
I watched it recently.
.com. Have you saw .com?
Huh? .com?
Oh,
yeah.
Is this on Netflix? Look, I'm about to go on Netflix.
I'm gonna have to watch that when we get off of here. What is it called?
.com. It's a lot of different ones, you know. So I like to do that. So it just depends, you know. I play my game. I'm addicted. I have an addiction.
To what?
Right.
Candy Crush.
Toon Blast.
Toon Blaster.
Toon Blast.
Oh yeah.
I'm on level 3,800, and something, and I feel
Oh,
bad about it. I'm ranked number 3, and I'm really trying to get number 2. So, you know, that's one of my coping skills that I use. We just watched some comedy. You mentioned Tiffany Haddish. I finally watched her show. I didn't get a chance to see her when she was here. Gary Owens, of course.
He's funny.
He's hilarious. I wish exercising was one, but it's just not for me. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you that that's like the top 3 coping skills because you're struggling with it, right?
Right. And
So,
eating.
Right.
Eating is my favorite.
Eating's your favorite?
Yes. And cooking new things.
okay.
I tried to switch vegan and try new vegan things, but that didn't last. I'm not meant to be vegan. Can't give up chicken and shrimp.
Is that your struggle?
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know, everybody's been having shrimp boils and crab boils.
Oh my gosh, that sounds
I don't even know where I can go get one to go. And I had Thai food this week.
Yeah, they do have they're delivering free, but yeah, pretty much all the I don't want to mention the names because I don't really do well with all of those places, but they are delivering, they're still open, and they'll bring it to you.
I'm gonna have to Google. I might just make my own.
Yes.
That way I can have as much as I want
Yes.
for the same price.
It's expensive. I don't know. Well, yeah.
Yeah. That is cool. Do you have any questions or anything? Do you have any questions?
Tujuana,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you came and had a conversation with us.
You know, I'm glad that thanks for asking and thanks for having me. I know we actually had something planned face to face back last month, and then something happened like
This coronavirus.
Coronavirus. Oh my God.
But we are
so
planning to reschedule.
Oh wait.
We're rescheduling July the 11th. So we can still have you then. We'll send you the details and stuff like that. So we did reschedule. We tried to do it as far out as possible so we don't have to keep rescheduling if it extends. So we just said July, but we definitely look forward to meet you in person. Well, for me, meeting you in person and getting to cut up some more and laugh and stuff without the social distancing.
yeah, I look forward to it. So this is my passion, so I love it. It's not like a job for me.
Do you have any questions?
Really
Exactly. Well, do you have any last questions for us or anything?
Well, I don't necessarily have any questions. I just want everyone to know that, you know, we're all in this together, this pandemic, and to be as supportive as you can be to one another, because that's what's going to get us through. That's what's going to get us through safe. That's what's going to help maintain our mental health, especially our mental health. You know, if you don't have a strong enough mental health, you know, your physical health can go down and everything else. So I just want everyone to stick together, to know that there is an end to it and we're going to be okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending your hour with us. I hope it was enjoyable for you.